Heartwarming twist. Single dad discovers his overnight guest is a millionaire's hidden daughter. Jake sat on his creaky porch staring out at the street. The storm clouds hung low, matching the weight on his shoulders. Being a single dad in his late 30s was a tough job, and now the stakes were higher than ever. Laid off from the mechanic shop, he patched tents and bicycles in his garage every day as he picked up late-night shifts at the diner. The pang of fear in him rumbled louder than the approaching storm. What if he couldn't provide for his 2 kids? It was a nightmare he couldn't shake. As the thunder rumbled, Jake leaned back, closing his eyes, letting the rain begin to patter against the pavement. He could already sense the anxiety his children felt, the way they tried to shield him from their worries. The bills piled high on the kitchen table felt like a mountain he couldn't conquer. Gritting his teeth, he vowed he wouldn't let them down. Suddenly, from the corner of his eye, he spotted a figure struggling on the roadside. Grabbing his coat, he strode to the door. Raindrops splattered as he approached a soaked young woman trying to get her car started. She was disheveled, and the look of frustration on her face hit him like a punch to the gut. "Hey, need a hand?" he shouted over the drumming rain. Lily turned, her blue eyes wide with relief. "I can't believe anyone would stop. I need to get to the next town." "No worries," Jake said, remembering the values his parents had instilled in him about helping others. "How about a warm meal first? You can stay the night and we'll figure it out in the morning." Lily hesitated, but the hunger in her eyes told him everything. They clambered back to his cozy home. That night, as they sat at the kitchen table, exchanging stories, the tension began to melt away. Jake laughed as Lily talked about her own struggles, hopes dashed, expectations weighing heavy. His heart began to soften as each word she spoke resonated with his own journey. He shared tales of sleepless nights and relentless bills, and she listened intently, her empathy evident. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. As the sun began to peek through the remnants of the storm, the whole neighborhood buzzed with preparation for the annual summer festival. Jake felt a flicker of hope. This festival could energize his community, give him a momentary escape. Yet, as people gathered, unexpected whispers flooded through the crowd when Lily's identity was revealed. Jake watched, frozen, as she stood there. "Do you know who she is?" someone murmured. "That's the billionaire's daughter." Jake's heart raced. All their intimate moments hung in the air like shattered glass. Confusion, admiration, and betrayal surged within him. He saw whispers and glances exchanged, eyes darting toward him with judgment. But the storm didn't subside. The moment her father's attorney arrived, offering her everything from cash to property, Jake's heart sank. It was a tempting offer that could lift his burdens but feel like a betrayal to everything he had come to cherish with her. In that moment, future possibilities rippled like water disturbed by a stone. Would Jake and Lily's bond survive this tumultuous wave? Would they allow their community's biases to tear them apart? Or could they rise together, find common ground in their shared struggles? As Jake watched Lily's face split between the life she fled and the one she could now have, he realized they stood at a crossroads that could redefine everything. Would he fight for what they had or let it slip through his fingers, all while trying to protect his family? The air crackled with tension as decisions loomed ahead. Jake stood frozen, the noise of the festival fading to a muted hum. His gaze was locked onto Lily, who seemed to shine even brighter under the scrutiny of the crowd, though the storm clouds of uncertainty loomed heavy over them both. He could see the flicker of emotions racing across her face: confusion, fear, and was it relief? The moment her blue eyes met his, he felt an overwhelming need to protect her, to shield their connection from the prying eyes and the judgment that hung in the air like damp fog. But just as quickly, doubts trickled in. Could he compete against the life that lay before her? The offer her father's attorney presented was more than just wealth. It was stability, security, a life his kids desperately needed. But Jake's heart twisted painfully at the thought of losing Lily, the warmth she had brought into their home, and the surprising bond they had formed over shared stories and struggles. Jake! A sharp voice broke through the haze. It was Kelly, his neighbor, a woman known for gossiping rather than helping. You should really think about what she's offering you. It could be a fresh start. The way she eyed Lily made Jake's fists clench. He hated how her words dripped with skepticism. He took a deep breath, feeling heat radiate through him. It's not about the money, Kelly. He was surprised at the conviction in his own voice. Some things can't be bought. Maybe you're right, Kelly replied, but her tone suggested she didn't believe it. She moved away, leaving Jake in a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. Is it true? Lily's voice broke through the chaos in Jake's mind. She stepped closer, her brow furrowed, desperation lining her features. Am I really that different? No, he quickly said, taking her hands in his, feeling the warmth of her palms grounding him. You are exactly who you've always been to me. The girl who helped me remember that there is still light in tough times. But I'm not the girl with nothing anymore, am I? Her voice trembled, and Jake could see the weight of expectation pressing down on her. She was trapped between two worlds, her past and her potential future. Jake squeezed her hands tighter. You're still you, Lily. I can't have you slipping away. My kids love you, and I pause a breath because this was harder than he ever imagined. I'm sorry if the world's judgment makes this feel complicated, but don't let it dictate how you feel about us. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she blinked rapidly, and for a moment, the thrum of the festival faded away. I don't want to lose you or your kids. This isn't just about money, she whispered, her voice determined. I found something here, something real, and it scares me. Jake's heart raced at her admission. It was a flicker of hope, but they were still surrounded by uncertainty. As they stood there, lost in each other's gaze, the crowd around them faded, leaving only the two of them, connected by unspoken promises. But as they leaned closer, preparing to solidify their connection, another figure stepped into their bubble, a tall man in a sharp suit. It was the attorney, his expression cool, calculating. Lily, we need to discuss those documents, he said firmly, drawing her attention away. The moment was broken, and Jake felt his heart clench as he fought the instinct to step between them. Lily turned, her resolve wavering as she met the attorney's eyes. And my life is here now. Your father is concerned about your future. You don't have to live in this chaos, he countered, fixing his gaze on Jake. Jake felt anger boil within him. She has a choice. Lily's eyes darted back to Jake, torn between the life she left and the safety offered to her. And Jake knew the storm wasn't just outside anymore. It was brewing right between them. As they stood at this crucial intersection, uncertainty gripped them both. Would Lily choose her billionaire reality? Or was their connection strong enough to weather the storm together? Tell me what you really want, Lily, Jake urged, heart pounding as time stretched painfully between them, waiting for her answer that could change everything. The moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation. It felt like the world had muted to just the three of them, the attorney, Lily, and Jake. Every beat of Jake's heart echoed the unspoken question. Would she choose him? Lily's gaze flitted back and forth, torn as if caught in two separate currents pulling her apart. Jake could see the resolve in her eyes waver, and it broke his heart. He wanted to reach out, to pull her to him and make the decision for her, but he knew better. This was her choice. She started, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know. Then she took a breath, steadying herself against the wind of uncertainty swirling around them. I just thought I was finally free from all that. All the expectations. But now, expectations can be stifling, Lily, Jake interjected softly, desperate to remind her of the joy that was definitely there if she chose to see it. But you're not alone. You've built something here, something real between us. A flicker of something passed through her eyes. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was the remnants of fear. Jake couldn't tell. The attorney leaned forward, his expression unyielding. Lily, this isn't just about you anymore. Your father's last offer is very generous. You could start over without all this chaos surrounding you. Start over. Lily snapped, her voice gaining strength. This isn't chaos for me. It's my life. I finally feel like I belong. Jake's heart soared at her words. She was fighting. For them. For the connection they had built. He wanted to pull her closer and vow that he would always be there to support her, no matter what her choice. But doubt slithered back into his thoughts, gnawing at the edges of his resolve. What if belonging wasn't enough for her anymore? Would their small, imperfect world hold her when she could have everything? Maybe everything is in front of me, Lily continued, still looking into the attorney's eyes, but Jake sensed she was really speaking to him. But that doesn't mean I want it. I've seen someone worth fighting for. My skeletons don't haunt me here, Jake. A swell of warmth spread through him. He wanted to respond to tell her how he felt about them. But another pang of anxiety made its way into his chest as he thought of what it would mean if she left. Would that warmth turn to cold? You can't afford to ignore your future. The attorney pushed, straightening his tie. Think of your family, your inheritance. Your father just wants what's best for you. Lily turned, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears. My family is here, and I'm tired of feeling like that little girl who has to please everyone. Can't I decide for once? Just then the festival music shifted, a lively band striking up a familiar tune. Laughter drifted through the evening air, drowning out the encroaching tensions that clamored for attention. It seemed fitting, like a reminder that life continued, regardless of the choices pressing down on them. Jake inhaled deeply, feeling an ember of hope reignite. You deserve the choice, Lily. No more secrets, no more bank accounts dictating your worth. Just follow your heart. Her breath caught, and for a moment, Jake could have sworn he saw the weight of expectation lift slightly from her shoulders. But as the crowd swayed and cheered, the attorney still stood between them, a stark reminder of the walls they were fighting against. Make your choice, Lily, he pressed again, his voice void of emotion. It's time. The chant of the festival swelled, filling the gaps of tension with a vibrant urgency. It was decision time. Jake squeezed her hands even tighter, bracing for her answer that could change everything. But as Lily opened her mouth, hesitance crossed her face, and before a word could escape, the festival lights flickered ominously, a sudden power outage plunging them into darkness. Jake's pulse quickened. Lily's hand slipped from his grasp as the chaos erupted around them. Jake! She yelled out, her voice swallowed by the commotion. What had just happened? Would she flee into the night, or turn back to the connection they had? With anxiety twisting in his gut, he pushed through the crowd, searching for her. He could barely see anything, the vibrant colors muted to shades of gray. Lily! He called out, his voice frantic against the backdrop of chaos. Would he find her? Would she still want him when the lights came back on? And in that moment, with hope and fear battling in his chest, one question played on repeat. Was their bond strong enough to survive the darkness? The chaos swirled around Jake as he stumbled through the dimness, the sounds of laughter and music now a muffled echo, punctuated by distant shouts and confused whispers. He felt like he was in a dream, disoriented and desperate. Lily! He shouted again, hoping to cut through the panic. Each call spiraled into the void, swallowed by the swirling mass of darkness that enveloped them. His heart raced, a relentless drumbeat of worry and fear. He felt a flicker of resolve. He couldn't lose her, not like this. He pushed on, weaving between bodies, frustration igniting within him as he felt her warmth slip further away. And then a glimmer of light emerged, faint but real. The crowd thinned a bit as people huddled together, taking a moment to process what was happening. Jake locked onto that flicker, feeling a magnetic pull. Felt like hope. With every step closer, his resolve solidified. He had to find her. He couldn't let uncertainty claim his love. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a small clearing, where some people had pulled out their phones, the weak glow illuminating frightened faces. Relief washed over him, but it was swiftly mingled with panic when he didn't see Lily. Has anyone seen Lily? A girl she's in a red dress. He pleaded, desperation edging his voice. Amidst the small group, a woman turned, her expression thoughtful. I saw her just a minute ago, heading toward the food stalls, she said, pointing to a path that branched into the shadows. Heart-pounding, Jake dashed in that direction. The scent of popcorn and cotton candy mingled with the air. But all he could feel was the weight of dread. What if she was lost in the crowd? What if she felt trapped again by the very expectations she fought to escape? He reached the food stalls, their colorful banners now eerily muted in the darkness. Lily! He called again, his voice straining against the noise of the festival. "Where are you?" Just then he caught sight of a figure at the far end, her silhouette outlined in the soft moonlight that broke through the dark clouds. Jake's heart leaped and he sprinted toward her, his breath coming in quick bursts. "Lily!" He gasped when he was close enough, relief flooding through him at the sight of her, even if she looked frail and small in that moment. Lily turned toward him, her eyes wide and shimmering with unshed tears. "Jake, I thought I lost you." He reached her in an instant, wrapping his arms around her tightly. "I was so scared. I couldn't find you," he murmured, feeling her heartbeat thrum against his chest. "What happened back there?" She pulled back slightly to look at him, her face illuminated just enough for him to see the conflict swirling within her. "I saw the darkness, Jake. I thought about everything, the choice, the life I could have. And in that moment the power went out. Thought maybe you were meant to disappear?" He finished for her, prodding gently, his heart aching at the tension in her voice. She nodded, biting her lip. Yet her eyes sparkled with something else, courage, perhaps, or maybe clarity. "But now I realize the darkness was the chaos I've been running from. It's not out there but in making the choice I've been avoiding." The words hung between them. The sounds of the festival swirled back into focus, a symphony of colors and life that he couldn't ignore anymore. Something had shifted, and yet they stood at a precipice. "Make your choice, Lily," he prompted softly, feeling the weight of her options rest heavy on their shoulders. "How can I, with so much uncertainty?" she whispered. As she spoke, the lights flickered back on, bathing the scene in brilliant color once again. The festival felt alive again, a sharp contrast to the darkness they had just encountered. Jake took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. "We can face the uncertainty together, Lily. I'm ready if you are, but I need to know, are you choosing to be with me? Here now?" As she opened her mouth to answer, a nearby booth erupted in laughter, and the vibrant atmosphere enveloped them once more. But this time with electricity buzzing in the air. Jake could only hope she would see the world like he did, not just with dreams of escape, but visions of possibilities. And in that moment, with the weight of the festival swirling around them, her answer hung in the air like confetti, ready to change everything. Would she step forward into the light or retreat back into the shadows? The laughter bounced around the festival, filling the air with a lightness that seemed to lift the shadows they had just battled. Jake held his breath, barely even blinking, as he waited for Lily's response. Her expression danced between hesitation and determination, making his heart race anew. Finally, she looked up at him, hope and fear mingling in her eyes. I want to choose you, Jake. I want this us." But her voice faltered, uncertainty creeping back in. "What if I mess it up? What if I falter again?" Jake cupped her face gently, forcing her to meet his gaze. "We won't know unless we try. Every moment, every choice is another chance." The world around them faded as he focused solely on her. The festival a distant murmur. "I'm not going anywhere. We're in this together." There was a flicker of recognition in her eyes, a fleeting realization of what it meant to be vulnerable yet brave. She nodded slowly, as if she was allowing herself to embrace the notion that she deserved this happiness. Before she could speak again, a loud whoosh redirected their attention. A sudden flare of fireworks exploded in brilliant colors above them, illuminating the night sky in dazzling shapes. Gasps and cheers erupted from the crowd, overwhelming their moment. The light show danced across her face, and for a brief heartbeat, Jake allowed himself to forget all the uncertainties they faced. "Look at that!" Jake exclaimed, nodding toward the sky. "It's beautiful." Lily let out a small laugh, her tension easing as she tilted her head back, taking in the magic. It was a reminder of childhood, of simpler times when dreams felt more attainable. "Yeah, it really is," she said, rays of light reflecting in her eyes. "See, there's beauty in the chaos," he whispered, his heart swelling with hope. "We just have to find it." The fireworks faded, replaced by a spectacular view of the festival almost sparkling with color. For the first time, Jake felt a sense of normalcy, a part of something bigger. They were two souls among a sea of laughter, music and bright lights. But that small moment of bliss was shattered by a commotion nearby. A crowd surged toward a booth where someone shouted, "Help! Call an ambulance!" Instinctively, Jake and Lily turned, and his stomach dropped. What happened? Lily asked, concern etching her features once more. I don't know, but we should go see, he replied, feeling a pull of urgency. They navigated through the gathering crowd of onlookers, tension swirling around them, again a reminder of how quickly joy could turn to fear. As they approached, the scene came into focus and Jake's heart raced. A young man lay on the ground, unconscious among the revelers, while frantic faces surrounded him. Someone call 911. A voice shouted, panic tinged in the air. Lily, wait here. Jake called, feeling the adrenaline pump through him. He needed to help, to do something. But she grasped his arm. No, I'll be right there with you. As they neared the chaos, a sense of dread seeped into Jake's bones. This wasn't just a fleeting moment. This was real life, and it had come crashing into their festival high. But as he knelt down near the young man, he noticed a familiar face in the crowd. Peering over with wide eyes, his heart sank into his stomach. Dad! The word spilled from his lips, barely a whisper, laced with disbelief. Lily gasped beside him, and suddenly everything spiraled. Jake hadn't expected this. What did this mean? The atmosphere was heavy with tension, and the world felt like it was about to shift all over again. Fingers trembling, he met Lily's gaze. Could they truly handle another blast of uncertainty tonight? What secrets were unfolding now, and how would they shape their new beginning? Jake's mind raced. His father, always a figure of stability, had been absent for too long, lost in his own battles. Seeing him here surrounded by chaos brought a mix of emotions: fear, confusion, and something deeper, something unresolved. Dad, what happened? Are you okay? Jake called out, his voice cutting through the panic like a lifeline. The crowd noticed him, recognition dawning on some faces as they moved aside, revealing the young man on the ground. Worry laced Jake's heart as he knelt beside his father, who was now pale and breathing heavily. Help's coming, Jake reassured him, though he felt the weight of doubt pressing down on his chest. I'm fine, Jake, his father said, attempting to sit up. Just got knocked in the head. But he needs a doctor. His voice was strained, pointing toward the unconscious man. Who is he? Jake asked, scanning the crowd for any clues. A friend of a friend, his father struggled to say, grimacing. He took a fall. Lily crouched down beside Jake, her gaze flicking between the two men, her concern palpable. Come on, we need to keep him comfortable, she urged, her voice steady even as Jake's heart raced faster. A cluster of festival goers stood nearby, whispering and shooting glances toward the commotion. Jake felt the weight of their stares, but right now he couldn't care less. His focus was on the man sprawled before him. What had happened? The joy of the festival faded away, replaced by the sharpness of reality. Someone's trained in first aid. A voice called out, and a young woman rushed forward, dropping to her knees beside them. What's his condition? Jake's father leaned heavily against his leg, pale, non-responsive. I don't know, I saw him fall. Can you tell me where it hurts? The woman asked the young man, gently shaking his shoulder. Seconds felt like hours, each heartbeat a reminder of how fragile moments could be. The crowd had formed a makeshift barrier, but it buzzed with tension, each face a reflection of concern, fear, and helplessness. In the midst of all this, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. His focus had to be on the here and now. But then it buzzed again, then a third time. It was his mother. The urgency in her name on the screen pulled at his senses, but he couldn't divert his attention. Not now. His father suddenly turned to Lily. You have to keep him alive. Can't let him go. The desperation in his father's eyes cut through Jake. Dad, we're doing everything we can, Jake replied, his voice breaking slightly. He wasn't just fighting for this stranger. He was fighting against the creeping dread that something would shatter the newfound hope he and Lily had just begun to build. The paramedics arrived with their sirens wailing, breaking the suspenseful bubble surrounding them. The crowd parted, and a team of professionals took over, bringing an air of authority that felt almost comforting amidst the chaos. Jake held his breath, watching them work, his heart pounding as he clung to the moments that had shifted so dramatically just moments before. Jake, Lily murmured, her voice soft yet firm. He turned to her, not ready for what he might find in her expression. Her eyes were filled with something akin to fear and determination. We'll get through this, she promised, reaching for his hand. He nodded, desperate to believe her. Suddenly, a thought struck him, a moment of clarity amidst all the confusion. I have to find out what really happened here. It was more than a matter of just helping the young man. It was about piecing together the night's jigsaw. With his father being loaded onto the stretcher, Jake resolved to uncover the truth hidden in this chaos. But there was one question gnawing at him. What had his father been doing that brought him here tonight? As the paramedics moved away with the stretcher, a voice in the background caught his ear. They're looking for someone in charge of this event. Jake's stomach turned. Could it be possible? Did someone orchestrate this? Who was really behind the scenes at the festival? The night was spiraling in ways he couldn't predict, and the uncertainty loomed. As they stepped back to let the crowd disperse, he held onto Lily's hand, ready to face whatever revelation loomed next. Would he dare to confront his father again? Would they face these secrets together? The underlying question swelled as the evening continued. Could they unearth the connections that tied their lives together amidst the chaos? The sound of sirens began to fade, replaced by the low murmur of the crowd still buzzing with unease. Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach as he watched the paramedics wheel his father away. Every ounce of his being wanted to chase after them, to absorb the knowledge of what was truly happening. Yet he stood frozen by uncertainty. Lily's grip tightened around his hand, a silent anchor in the storm of questions swirling in his mind. Jake, we should follow them, she urged, her voice tinged with urgency. He hesitated, caught between the pull of his father's safety and the growing need to figure out what had really taken place. What if he doesn't want to talk? He asked, the fear of rejection stinging sharp against the worry pounding in his chest. Her eyes softened as she searched his face. He needs you. And you need him. Jake took a deep breath, realizing she was right. They both needed each other. And whatever shadows lingered in their relationship needed confronting. They hurried toward the ambulance, weaving through the retreating crowd. Suddenly, something caught Jake's eye, a glimmer on the ground just beyond the barrier. Lily, wait. He called, crouching down to pick up a small metallic object. As he dusted it off, he recognized it as a pendant, a locket distinctly engraved with intricate designs. Except it wasn't just any locket. It was his father's. What did you find? Lily asked, looking over his shoulder. It's Dad's, Jake whispered, his heart racing. He remembered the stories his mom used to tell, about how his father always wore it, a token of family and love. But this was no time for nostalgia. He wouldn't have lost it willingly. A sinking feeling took root in his gut as he considered the implications. Had the locket fallen during the fall? Did it hint at something deeper? Something his father wanted to hide? They reached the ambulance just as the doors slammed shut. Jake's heart raced as he caught sight of his father inside, the paramedics bustling around him. He took a step forward, ready to push through, but a hand wrapped around his arm. Jake! A voice sliced through the haze of anxiety, and he turned to see Angela, the festival coordinator, rushing towards them. Her eyes were wide, urgency radiating off her. The situation is serious. Your father was trying to reach someone. We need to talk. What? Talk about what? His confusion mixed with disbelief became evident. Just please follow me. Jake exchanged a worried glance with Lily but followed Angela, sensing that his father's well-being depended on discovering the truth behind his intentions. As they walked away from the commotion, Jake felt the weight of the locket in his pocket, a reminder of the ties binding him to his father's secrets. There's something you should know about the young man who fell, Angela said, glancing back over her shoulder. He's connected to your family in ways you might not understand yet. His heart skipped a beat. Connected? How? Angela stopped, her expression grave. Your father was here not just to enjoy the festival. He was. Before she could finish, her phone buzzed, drawing her attention. Sorry, I need to take this. She stepped aside, leaving Jake and Lily hanging, caught in the realization that more than just medical help was needed tonight. What if that man is more than a friend of a friend? Jake muttered, running a hand through his hair. What if he is a part of our past? Lily looked deep into his eyes, and in that moment, they both realized they were on the brink of uncovering far more than simple answers. Jake's heartbeat quickened at the thought. This was no longer just about his father but the family legacy that lay intertwined in shadows. Let us keep talking to Angela. We're so close, Lily said, her voice steadying him. Just as they turned to go back, The sound of the crowd shifted again. A cry of alarm erupted from a few festival-goers, making Jake's skin prickle with anxiety. "Something's happening," he said, glancing at Lily. "What now?" With uncertainty looming over them, Jake's instincts kicked in. Would they dare to unravel the tangled threads of truth before it pulled them under? His mind raced as he looked back toward the hustle and bustle, his father, the young man, Angela, the locket. Everything was connected, and the night held secrets they were determined to uncover. What had he just learned? And what else was lurking, waiting to be revealed? The air was electric, pulses racing as Jake and Lily turned to face the chaos of the festival grounds. People were backing away, their voices rising in a mixture of fright and shock. "Jake," Lily said, her voice a quiet tremor, "we need to get to safety." He shook his head, feeling a deeper pull inside. "No, we can't leave now. If there's something wrong, what if my dad needs me?" But before he could decide, a new figure emerged from the crowd. It was a young man, looking as out of place as he was frantic. Jake recognized him. It was Evan, his father's old friend. Jake hadn't seen him in years, and now he was running toward them with urgency etched on his face. "Jake! Lily!" he called out, waving them over. "There's been an incident. I was with your dad." His breath came in short bursts, as if every word cost him energy. "What is happening?" Jake pressed, a sharp edge of fear slicing through him. Evan hesitated, looking from Jake to Lily, gauging them before answering. The young man who fell, he wasn't just a stranger. He was connected to something bigger. "Your dad was trying to warn me, but I didn't understand until now." "This is ridiculous," Jake snapped, frustration boiling inside him. "What do you mean connected? What are you talking about?" "Look, we don't have time," Evan insisted, urgency returning to his voice. "Your dad was working on something dangerous that could put all of you at risk." He was. Angela rejoined them, her expression now one of controlled panic. "We have to move. There are people looking for answers, and they might be looking in the wrong places." "Looking for what?" Jake demanded, sensing a revelation hanging just out of reach. "Your father," Angela began, but was cut off again as the chaos continued around them. Jake's heart raced. What did it mean for his father to be in the center of something that could threaten their family? Had he unknowingly gotten himself wrapped up in something dark? "Listen," Angela said, regaining her composure. "Your father's safety is our top priority. If we don't act now," she glanced back toward the crowd, "could put everyone in danger." Jake looked at Lily. Her eyes sparkled with concern, but there was also a spark of determination in them. "Jake, we need to trust them. We need to find out what's going on before it gets worse." "What if we're just running?" he questioned, feeling torn. But Evan stepped forward, resting a hand on Jake's shoulder. "Trust me. They're involved in this too. We're only going to make things worse if we stay here." The urgency in Evan's voice forced Jake into action. He had to know the truth, not just for himself but for his father. "All right," Jake said, feeling the weight of responsibility settle onto his shoulders. "Where do we go?" "Follow me. We can talk more at my apartment," Evan said, leading the way past the streetlights flickering in the chaotic shadows. As they moved away from the crowd, Jake felt the locket in his pocket press against him, a reminder of a connection he had yet to understand. With each step, the urgency grew. Each person they passed seemed to have a piece of information, a hidden truth he desperately needed. The night air felt oppressive. With every twist and turn, Jake's anxiety mounted, his heart thumping in rhythm to the chase for answers. What secrets could his father be tangled in? Jake wondered, craving light in the heavy darkness that surrounded them. Just then a loud crash echoed through the alley, sending a jolt of ice down Jake's spine. He turned back in alarm, feeling the world shake beneath him. What if the answers they sought led them into danger rather than safety? "Keep moving," Evan urged as their pace quickened, but Jake froze momentarily, needing to confront the swirling storm in his mind. The night was far from over, and the truth was lurking just beyond the shadows. Would they uncover what lay at the center of all these dark connections? Or would they become a part of the dangerous web spun by his father's past? The alleyway tightened around them, shadows flickering like ghosts in the dim light. Jake's gut twisted in uncertainty. The crash echoed again, the sound not just an accident but a warning. "Jake, come on," Evan shouted, glancing nervously over his shoulder. We can't stay here. With a sudden jolt, Jake shook off his hesitation and took a step forward. But the weight of his father's possible entanglement pulled at him. What could he have gotten involved in? Jake muttered, almost to himself. Focus. Lily grabbed his arm, her grip firm and grounding. We'll figure it out together. Her presence brought a sliver of hope, enough to chase away the shadows creeping into his mind. They hurried after Evan, weaving through the narrow passageways away from the cacophony of the festival. The air was thick with tension, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability. Every sound seemed amplified. The echo of a footstep, the rustling of leaves above. It was as if the very world around him was aware of their urgency and menace. Evan led them to a nondescript door at the edge of an adjacent street. This way, he urged, opening it with a quick turn of the knob. The moment they stepped inside, he slammed the door shut behind them, cutting off the chaotic world outside. Why are we hiding? Jake asked, his heart still racing. Because staying out there is the worst thing we could do right now, Evan replied, his voice strained. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly agitated. They're looking for anyone associated with the incident. Who is they? Jake demanded, frustration bubbling back to the surface. What are you not telling us? Evan took a deep breath. It's complicated. Your dad, he's involved in something tied to powerful people. They manipulate situations. That's why I was with him tonight. Jake's pulse quickened. What do you mean powerful people? What kind of danger are we talking about? Angela stepped in, urgency painting her words. Jake, we need you to trust us. He's been working on something intelligence of sorts. But he got tangled up with the wrong crowd. It's more serious than you can imagine. The weight of their words began to settle over him. His father, who he thought was simply working late nights on boring projects, was wrapped up in a shadowy world. What has he done? Jake's voice faltered, his mind racing to piece together what this meant for their family. For him, for Lily. He might have discovered something he wasn't supposed to, Evan replied, his gaze flaring with urgency. We have to find him before they do. Before who does? Jake pressed, desperate. Evan's eyes locked onto his, fierce and determined. Before the people who caused the accident. They don't just stop at intimidation, Jake. They'll do anything to protect what they hide. A chill crept down Jake's spine. He had to act fast. Time was slipping away, and his father, his steadfast figure of safety, was in peril. Okay, Jake breathed, pulling his thoughts together. What do we do now? Evan shot a look at Angela, then back to Jake and Lily. We gather what information we can, then trace his steps. He mentioned an address earlier tonight. It's where he had meetings. We may find clues there. Before they could make a plan, a loud thud echoed against the door, making them all flinch. Jake's heart raced again, this time in fear. Did they find us? We need to move. Angela shouted, grabbing Jake's hand. They rushed towards the back of the apartment, tension mounting. Each step felt heavier, drumming in rhythm with their hearts. What awaited them on the other side of that door? Would they find answers or face more dangers? As they paused at a window, knees trembling, Jake realized the path ahead was more dangerous than he ever imagined. Yet it was the only way to uncover the truth about his father and himself. Would he have the courage to confront the truth? Or would the shadows consume them all? Jake pressed his ear against the cold window pane, straining to hear any approaching footsteps outside. The sounds of the festival still echoed faintly, like a distant memory. The vibrant lights now felt like a cruel reminder of the safety they'd lost. His heart raced, fear and adrenaline coursing through his veins. Is it safe? Lily whispered, glancing nervously at him. Jake turned to her, seeing the worry in her eyes. They had already traveled too far down this uncertain path. There was no turning back. We're not running anymore. This time we're making it count, he said, determined. The urgency in Evan's eyes matched his own resolve. Jake felt a shift of hope stirred within him. They were in this together. They had to find his father and unravel the web of secrets threatening their family. Let us move, Evan said, his voice low and steady. We need to head to that address. Stick together and keep your heads down. Jake felt the weight of the locket in his pocket. His father's history was wrapped in mysterious shadows, and they needed answers before darkness swallowed everything. They quietly slipped out the back entrance, the frigid night air enveloping them as they stepped away from the warm glow of the apartment. As they made their way towards the street, each sound felt magnified: the crunch of gravel beneath their feet, hushed conversations radiating from the nearby festival, and the distant wail of sirens signaling the chaos still unfolding. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Lily asked, her hand brushing softly against his. He nodded, firm. "Whatever's awaiting us, we have to confront it." With purpose, they began to head toward the address Evan had mentioned. The shadows deepened around them, the night hiding the secrets they were searching for. Every step felt monumental, the weight of their shared determination pressing down like a dense fog. They soon arrived at a nondescript building cloaked in silence. The metallic door with peeling paint loomed ahead, a stark reminder of the hidden truths behind it. Jake felt his heart pounding louder. "Are we sure this is it?" Lily murmured, glancing around. Jake nodded solemnly. "It's the only lead we have." They approached the door, hesitating just long enough for doubt to creep in. But determination surged through Jake. Together, he whispered, pushing the creaking door open and stepping inside. Inside, the air felt primal, charged with tension. The dimly lit interior hinted at years of neglect, shrouded in shadows that seemed to whisper secrets. A flickering light bulb dangled overhead, casting odd shapes on the walls. "There's something about this place," Lily said softly, glancing around. Jake's eyes darted about, searching for any signs of his father or clues that would point them in the right direction. "Doesn't he feel right?" "Look." Evan pointed to the far end of the room where some boxes were stacked haphazardly. "Over there." As they approached, Jake's breath hitched. There, lying on top of a box, was a set of documents. He picked them up, heart racing. They bore his father's name, and the details inside were alarming. Company names, financial records, and a list of meetings he never knew about. "Jake, this is serious evidence. What did he get himself into?" Erin's voice trembled as she scanned the details. "I don't know, but it looks like it ties him to something big." Just then, a noise erupted from the back of the building, a crash that shattered the fragile moment, sending chills down Jake's spine. "Did you hear that?" Lily pressed closer to him, anxiety rippling off her. "We need to go," Evan urged. "We can't stay here any longer." As they turned to leave, the door swung open, revealing two figures standing in the shadow. Jake's heart dropped. It was familiar faces, men in suits, their expressions dark and threatening. "Looking for something?" One of them sneered, stepping into the dim light, his eyes like knives. Jake felt the walls closing in, panic surging. "You don't have to do this." "Oh, but we do. Your father has taken something that belongs to us." The man's gaze flicked to the documents in Jake's hands, a knowing smirk creeping across his face. "And now it seems we'll have to deal with you." "Run!" Jake shouted, gripping Lily's hand tightly, pulling her toward the exit. As they rushed past the men, the snap of a voice rang out. "You think you can escape?" they shouted, footsteps pounding like thunder behind them. Jake's heart thundered in his chest. They raced through the building, every moment weighed down by the threat lurking behind them. Together they pushed through the back door and burst into the night, the cool air hitting their faces like a splash of reality. "There. The alleyway." Evan pointed, leading them down a narrow passage. They hurried through the shadows, adrenaline propelling them forward. Just as Jake turned to check behind them, he felt the stinging realization this was not just about uncovering his father's truth. It was battling for their lives now. Adrenaline surged through his body as he led them further down the alley. With a burst of energy, they crossed into the adjacent street, heading toward a cluster of people. "Help!" Jake called out, but as they turned, he saw something that made his heart drop. The figures from the building were closing in on them, relentless. Suddenly, Jake noticed several police officers nearby, tending to the aftermath of the festival. "Over there!" he shouted, pulling Lily and Evan toward the officers. As they rushed forward, Jake felt a mix of hope and fear. Would they be safe? Would the officers believe the truth that was beginning to unveil itself? "Help! We need help!" Lily cried out as they approached the officers. The officers turned, expressions shifting from cautious to concerned as they noted the frantic scene unfolding. "Get back!" one officer barked, spotting the approaching figures behind them. But Jake couldn't wait for more. "My father, he's involved in something dangerous. We need to protect him." Before he could explain further, The two men from the building emerged into the light, expressions fierce and predatory. "Officers, don't get involved. We just need to talk to them," one of the men said, projecting a cool confidence that sent a chill down Jake's spine. Jake turned, panic igniting in his chest. "You can't trust them. They're part of it." The officers exchanged glances, uncertainty evident. "Everyone stay calm," an officer commanded, stepping forward. In that moment, a sudden realization hit Jake. It was time to unveil the truth. "Listen, you need to know what my father was working on. Those documents. They could help you figure out what's going on." Confusion flickered in the officer's eyes, but curiosity drew them closer. "Show us," the officer insisted. Jake fumbled through the documents, heart pounding as he turned the pages towards them. He held his breath while their eyes scanned the information. As they read, the tension shifted. "Stand by for backup. We have potential links to criminal activity. Get ready for a pursuit." The officer barked into his radio. "Jake, you did it!" Lily exclaimed with excitement, grasping his arm tightly. But the moment was short-lived. The figures from the building surged forward, determination radiating from them. "Don't move," one of the officers yelled, pulling out his weapon. Jake grabbed Lily's hand, desperate. He could feel the gravity of the moment, that this was the tipping point. Would they sink or swim? An intense standoff erupted, their hearts beating in unison as they faced the unknown together. Would the truth help them, or would it be their undoing? As the chaos unfolded, Jake clung tightly to Lily. They only had one shot to confront this storm, and the outcome lay in their hands. In that heartbeat, amid fear and hope, Jake vowed to fight for everything: his family, his father, and the love that had grown in shadows, ready to burst like a sunrise over the dark horizon. But would they be brave enough to face whatever came next? Only time would tell. And as the winds of fate began to shift, Jake took a deep breath, ready to embrace the inevitable change. Together they would find their way toward healing, understanding, and the possibility of a new dawn on the horizon. And with those thoughts, they stepped forward to confront the light. Now that you've reached the conclusion of this journey, there's something important you need to do. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. This is the moment to show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your thoughts matter. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Thank you for being part of our community.